Alright, hello and welcome to an exciting tutorial by me, Cliff Bailey of Phazon Media. So today we're going to tackle the exciting subject of titles in Adobe Premiere. We are using the latest update. We may run into some bugs. We will see. Never know what's going to happen. Exciting, huh? I think we've gotten at least one update since the major update. So it has evened out a little bit. But today, yeah, we're just going to take this little bit of stock footage and put some titles on it. And go through the titling tool of Adobe Premiere. This is a Windows machine that I'm using, Windows system. It is still quite similar to the Apple system, just some keys are different, like the control and command are all, different and whatnot. But by and large, it is the same. Alright, so first you've got this beautiful canvas, an open Premiere project. So let's start off with our footage here. This is some stock footage I got off of storyblocks.com. You can check them out. Let's take the clip, drag it onto the timeline, and boom. Now our first sequence is generated based on the properties of this clip. And we can play it through. See old man trench coat there, cocking his hammers, and approaching a schoolhouse. Or, wait, that's kind of disturbing. Well, that's what we're gonna go with. Why not? Okay, so we got it here, and let's cue it up to where we want the titles to appear. Okay, and now let's take the type tool. This is really cool because you can just type right on the screen where you want it to be. So click on the T, and then find the position-ish about where you want the title to be. You'll be able to fine-tune it later, but let's just start like right here. And so it creates this little box. There's a cursor in there, and you can just start typing. Stock footage. Oh yeah. And then hit the Enter key on your number pad, and that way you can use the keyboard keyboard shortcut V, and that'll bring back your regular cursor. So now we can move it around like this by clicking and dragging the text box. Or if you would please divert your attention over here to the effect controls panel, we can start messing with the text. So here the default text, at least in my system, is Tahoma, which isn't bad, but it doesn't quite say Western. So let's see what we can do differently. I always kind of like uppercut, but I've since seen it's quite overused. Let's do something. Well, Sofa Chrome is pretty groovy, and some of these fonts are brought to you by the Adobe Creative Cloud font library. I don't know. Anyway. Oh, yeah. So that's a pretty groovy font, but it does not quite match the tone of the footage, Western, unless you're going with the Outrun Firefly type theme. Let's do something a little more traditional. What I have in mind is the HWT American something. You could either search for it like this, or you can highlight your font name and start typing it in. And here we go, HWT American Shop Worn. Now see, that's pretty cool. It's got some battle damage, grit, and such already worked into the font itself. You can see here the size is perhaps a bit too wide. One way to take care of that is to mess with the font slider over yonder here in the effect control panel. You can do that, or otherwise, if you like the size of the font but you still want to squeeze it in, just highlight, double click, or click in and hit Control A or Command A for all you Mac daddies and mamas out there, and instead come over to the font controls, and I don't know the exact term. Oh, tracking. Adjust the tracking. So if you go to the right, it gets wider, the spacing between the letters, or if you go to the left, it gets smaller, or tighter, narrower. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Let's go with that. All right. Click on the cursor. So there it is. That's essentially it. But let's get a little more into the details here. You can also, here it is justified to the left. That is the default setting. you can, under the control panel, make it centered, which then, as you see, it does it in relation to the anchor point. This is the anchor point. If you're going to rotate it, scale it or whatever, move it, it all is based on this point right here. So watch what happens to the anchor point when we hit center. Boom! Center point does not, or the anchor point does not move. The text conforms to the anchor point and is centered around it. Same thing if we justify it to the right. Ka-choom! Yeah, anchor point again. Steady as an anchor. For properties, now this is, as you can see, also when you create your text, the timeline generates a clip for the graphic in the sequence. You can either work with the clip motion effects in here, changing position and such. Oh, that's the scale. Excuse me. Ha 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 ha. And that's not a bad thing to use. Position again, moving it around. Because it's not just moving the text, it is moving the entire thing. If this is After Effects, it would be a solid, but in Premiere, we'll just call it a clip. What is that noise? I don't know. So yes, you can... Is that my chair? I'm hearing... Oh, it's the frickin' wind blowing the Venetian blind things. Yes, okay. Using video effect motion controls versus text property controls. I recommend using the text itself, the text controls itself, because otherwise, let's say, or if whatever you do, be consistent. If you say move the clip position over to the left a bit, then say, oh, actually, I don't like it there, I want to move it to the right. Then you come down to the text properties position and move it to the right. Oh, looky there. See, it gets cut off. Why? Because the whole dang canvas, essentially, frame canvas, the graphic, the clip, is moved over, and that is the edge that we see of it. Real easy way, though, to undo it is to do the universal undo command, Control-Z, kaboom. And in order, if you want to, well, you could Control-Z again to get you back, to move the position of the whole frame back. Also, what is pretty handy is, say you want to have text centered and aligned to the center. So first off, we've already typed it in. There it is, yada yada yada. Now let's do the center alignment. All right, there it is, but it is clearly not in the center of the screen. Now what you could do is use the controls, adjust them to get it back into the center, and maybe that's close enough. But what could really help, this little arrow over here, reset parameter. Click on that, and boom, it is aligned to the center. Top to bottom, bottom to top, left to right, right to left. Because whenever you create a new text box, new texty, oh, text, yeah, I like that. Let's do that. Whenever you do that, then the parameter, the position parameter for the new text, or new text in this case, is in this position. As you can see here. See? And so if we were to reset it, then boom, there it is. But it's aligned to the right, so we align it to the center, and boom. Of course, that other text is over it. Now it's not. Now it is. Now it's not. Now it is. So yeah, so that's all to say. That's an easy way to get your text aligned to the center if that's what you're going for. Let's do the reset parameter thing. Now, what you also just observed is within the same graphic, I created another text box. Another text box. Oops. There it is. We've only got one representation of text, or graphic, and two instances of text. Now, this is where motion control over the frame can come in handy, If you want these to be uniform and have them do uniform movement, well, the keyframing stuff, not getting into that quite yet, then it is in your best interest to use the property values of the whole thing, the motion controls of the clip, as opposed to the motion controls of the text. However, sometimes, and let's just Control-Z that. Sometimes you want to have text doing different things, working independently of each other. Like, say you want to have this text zoom in from the left, this text zoom in from the right, or just have them dissolve. Let's keep it simple. Let's just have them dissolve. But you want them to dissolve at different times. Now, the way you would add in the transition is to... Well, I like film dissolve personally. You'd take it and drop it at the end of the clip. And the text, both texts, dissolve in at the same time. But I want this text to dissolve in after this text. So what do? First, let's delete the one. And the way you can see both text properties represented in the clip is still in the effect control panel. You see text, and in parentheses, what the text says, questionable stock footage, ba-boom, and then this other instance here, another text box right here. So just highlight it, hit delete, adios. Now to create the second or different separate clip for purposes of film transitions, simply click in a blank space of the timeline. And so there's nothing there. Hit the T button, ba-doom, second clip created, text box, blank canvas, type it up. Another text box. Boom. All right. So now, ladies and gentlemen, we have a case of being able to work these text graphics independently. And of course, it is not rendering correctly because it is not rendered. We got the red line there, and using this on-screen recorder for the first time, I'm seeing some of the limitations. So let's try a render. Going pretty quick. I was gonna say, hey, when it starts off with like 30 seconds left, and then it gets to a certain point, it's like 30 minutes left. Like, F you. Okay, here we go. There we go. All right, now it should still, whoops, it should run smoothly. Let's see. Oh yeah. And that's pretty much it, I think. It's definitely the basics of how to get texts going. You do have other tabs up here. Right now we're in the editing tab, that's or editing workspace. That's where I usually live. But you can also go into graphics. I see this more as the, yeah, all this fun stuff over here, which I have not yet gotten accustomed to too much. I've used it once, I think. Yeah. So we'll get into that another time. This is the way that's easiest for me. Hopefully it helps you out and you figure out your own way. But I'm going to call it for now because this thing is already much longer than I intended it to be. Hope you dig it. If you do, please feel free to like the video, subscribe, and we'll do some more next time. Let me know in the comments what you want to learn about, what problems you have. This is geared more towards really fresh beginners or folks who need a refresh on Adobe Premiere. But yeah, let me know what you think, what you would like to learn about in the future, and we'll do it. All right, take it sleazy.